in the open world survival game Scum. You can stab some brain dead fuckhead in the eye socket with a spear without consequence. Eat a barbecued donkey for lols. And then shit on a dead dude's face just because, well, it's funny. Welcome to Scum, a game that is literally like going to a stag party in El Salvador. Trigger warning. This review contains casual comparisons to other video games which may cause some players to get triggered and lose their shit. I will also be covering many of the criticisms of Scum, but if you take one factoid away from all of my ranting, it should be this. At the end of the video, I will advise everyone to buy this game if it looks remotely like their kind of gig. So if you're likely to be offended, take a fucking Xanax and calm your tits. On August the 29th, 2018, Scum went on sale as an early access title on PC. It's now less than a month later and 1 million copies sold. As a reward, all players will be able to shit out a golden Desert Eagle pistol next time they play. And no, I'm not even kidding. Scum has peaked at 68,000 concurrent players online and is currently the 30th most played game on Steam. Not bad for an unfinished early access title. Scum is an open world survival simulator where you can play PvP or PvE, solo or in a squad. And when I say survival, the survival mechanics are deep. In some ways it's highly derivative, but at the same time highly original in some of its execution. You play the role of a convict, dumped onto an island with just your orange prison uniform, your dick tattoos and your prison rape skills to protect you. As part of some kind of sick futuristic survival entertainment show, you have to overcome the challenges of weather, starvation, wild animals, giant military mechs, and in PvP mode, attack some other players. Every person on the island has a cybernetic chip inserted in the back of their head, which stores experiences and memories, so if you die, you can re-enter the game. It can even be used to reanimate the bodies of dead convicts. Just like a zombie. These zombie-like creatures shuffle and moan, roaming the island, attacking any living convict they hear or see. But they are not zombies, they're called puppets. Oh fuck it, they're bloody zombies. Let's not shit around here. They are fucking zombies with a slightly more imaginative backstory. But if you refer to them as zombies, someone will probably get annoyed with you. You also have to micromanage your metabolism to a depth I have never seen before in a video game. And when I say micromanage your metabolism, I mean there is a screen with your heart rate, your digestive system, your calorie management, vitamin intake, how full your bowel is, how much you need to take a slash. I mean the whole thing. Right down to taking tactical shits, which incidentally can be used to track you by other players. Unless of course that other player knows exactly where you are because you just killed him. And now you are shitting on their face because, well, it's the only video game that lets you do it, so of course you're going to shit on people's faces. Duh! The publisher is Devolver Digital and game developer is Crow Team, the duo who have partnered up for titles such as Serious Sam and the Talos Principle. It's worth noting that in the last few days the Wikipedia page was changed to say Crow Team are now the producers and a studio called GameSpires is now technically the developer. Not sure precisely what manner of reorganisation this reflects, but I'm going to roll with my original intel for the time being. I'm normally very sceptical of early access or crowd-funded games. Usually you either pay for a game that is never finished, or you end up being a sucker with zero rate of return on your investment in someone else's startup business. A business which they promptly sell to a mega corporation for a huge fucking pile of cash, using your money as free capital and leaving you in the fucking dust. We happy few. Oculus Rift. However, I gave these guys the benefit of the doubt for two main reasons. One, the game was fucking cheap. And two, the publisher does these awesome E3 stage shows, taking the piss out of the rest of the industry's greed.
You simpletons! Yes, you! You stinking bug-fuck shit minions seem to think that we didn't provide enough new games reveals, first looks, or whatever else you think might have made your dumb little life a little less pointless in that one moment on the internet that one time. And that hit us right in the feels.
This is a real fucking survival game with real survival mechanics, real survival tactics, and real face-shitting functionality. So what are the main features of Scum? The open world is huge. It's so huge you could spend 15 plus minutes casually jogging across the map, which I've done, and spent the whole fucking time wondering why it took them 3 weeks to work out they needed a fucking auto-run key in this game. It's both PvE and PvP, to their credit. A very nice touch in my opinion. You can either chill in the game world practicing your survivalism skills, or join a PvP server and experience the visceral emotional rollercoaster ride of progressing your character only to lose all of your stuff to some teleporting, desynced arse monkey who is blinking in and out of existence like that dude from the movie Chronicles of Riddick. Only unlike that dude from the movie, this dude is constantly yelling, "Suck my dick!" and then squats down and shits on your face when he's killed you. Yeah, there are some issues with the netcode, but more of that later. Extensive environmental scavenging and the highly complex crafting system are central core mechanics of this game. You get dropped onto an island, and through a combination of crafting and crafting with your scavenged stuff, you become more powerful, until you become a force to be reckoned with, and then you can kill people and shit in their faces. Character creation is a big thing in this game. You can be a big heavy hitter, but just like real life, there is always a price to pay. You can be light and fast, but suffer other penalties. You have to decide whether you are built for comfort or speed. Metabolism management is confusing as fuck, and I'm fucking useless at it. It's pretty much based on real life. You need to stay hydrated, eat a balanced diet, and manage your vitamin, carb, fat and protein intake. So yeah, just like in real life, it's confusing as fuck, and I'm fucking useless at it. Joking aside, metabolism management is a genius move. I'm sure when you get really into this game, it will turn out to literally be a human body simulator minigame. And just like in real life, your body will be the engine that underpins your survival. Or turns out to be a liability. I'm going to trigger everyone by saying this, but Scum makes me think that 10 developers sat down in a room, played DayZ, PUBG, Fallout Survival Mode, Rust, and every other survival game they could find, and decided, let's make a survival game that is more realistic than any of these, where you can shit in dead people's faces. So what is Scum like to actually play? For the first 10 minutes I thought it was a PUBG clone, then I found the crafting menu, then I didn't know what the fuck was going on, then I watched some video guides, then I made a flint knife from 2 stones, then I realised it was truly a hardcore survival game, then I realised that if I became really good at Scum, I could shit in people's faces. I was sold in that instant. There will be unavoidable comparisons with DayZ, PUBG and Escape from Tarkov and that entire raft of games. I don't know any of these games particularly well, so I don't know how fair the comparisons are or how much they will trigger players, Scum fans and Crow Team developers. But I keep hearing people make these comparisons, so I'm compelled to mention them too. It must be stressed that this game is early access, is not full price, and it's not finished. To hammer this point home, when you launch this game, a big warning message comes up telling you explicitly it's not finished and lots of stuff is broken. If you're not comfortable with that, you have time for a Steam refund. Nobody can claim they didn't know it was not a finished game. This being said, it runs incredibly well for early access. Its deficits stem from being incomplete, both in content and design philosophy, but the content actually in the game seems to work surprisingly well. Certainly better than most games at launch, let alone pre-beta. Personally, I'm very excited about Scum, and I'm very enthusiastic about where it is heading. Scum has incredible potential. I want it to succeed, and to be honest, after 10 plus hours playing, I've already had more fun than I had in Star Wars Battlefront 2, and that cost me 4 times as fucking much. Scum is what it is, really. You're dumped on an island and have to survive, using exploration, crafting, scavenging and combat. What makes Scum special in my eyes is the depth of those mechanics. The game is not even finished yet, but if you wanted, you could spawn into the game and spend the first hours crafting flint tools, making fires, ropes, bags, piles of spears, hunt some animals and have a fucking barbecue in the woods without going anywhere near a town or village. You won't get to shit in anyone's face, but this game has a multitude of subtle pleasures that are almost as fun. Allegedly. There is no escaping the fact that this game is a work in progress, but it's a quarter the price of a full game. And you know what? For that price point, I'm fine enjoying the adventure of jumping on this freight train and seeing where it's going to end up. There's also enough content right now to keep you going for a good few sessions, despite being unfinished. Christ, I've been having fun and the whole endgame isn't even implemented yet. I guess if you take anything away from watching this, it's that Scum has a fuck ton of potential. And at the same time, for 15 quid, I feel like I got my money's worth even if it does not manage to live up to everyone's high expectations. Yes, there are some significant frustrations. Some of them stem from poorly considered design decisions, and some from the fact that it's an early access game. So at this point, I'm not going to leap in and hammer Crow Team for issues that may not even persist to the end of the week, let alone into the finished game. There is silly stuff like the fact that you constantly end up losing whatever the fuck you're holding in your hand when you climb ladders. Issues like managing the proximity of resources and utilising things in the environment need to be refined. There is shit that needs to be streamlined, and I'm not talking about compromising realism for the sake of a more user-friendly experience. I'm talking compromising fucking pedantic, pointless, frustrating micromanagement of tasks for the sake of not sucking the life out of my very fucking soul. Don't get me wrong, I'm hoping they stick to hardcore realism. But fuck, some tasks are more micromanaged than real life. I can pick up a bundle of fucking sticks in my arms and carry them 20 meters in real life. Thank you very fucking much. I wouldn't pick them up and move them one at a fucking time. Why can't that stick 10 feet away just be included in the floor inventory? Do I really have to go and play pickup sticks with every last fucking object not directly under my shit-stained boots? I shit you not. At one point I had to repeatedly walk across some grass and pick up tiny little items 2 at a time and transport them a few meters, over and fucking over, just so I could make something lighter than a fucking shoe. All because I didn't have a rucksack. I mean, really? Couldn't there be some kind of scoop up that light pile of twigs and knickknacks mechanic? Seriously, think about that. If you don't have any fucking inventory space or a rucksack, in Scum, if you wanted to move 10 sewing needles 20 feet from one place to another place, your big, burly, tough, facially tattooed convict would have to make 10 individual fucking trips, daintily holding one needle in his hand, one at a fucking time. Because apparently, in the world of Scum, convicted criminals don't have the ability to hold 10 sewing needles on the palm of their hand at the same time, because physics. I love hardcore realistic survival mechanics, but fucking hell's bells, there are areas where they need to rethink the micromanagement rules. Then there is the issue of guns and ammo. To put it in perspective, I can actually load and fire a gun in real life. In Scum, could I fuck? There was such a spectacular degree of fucking around, I almost gave up and went back to clubbing enemies to death. No, I mean really, I had a gun, a magazine, bullets, but unless I configured the gear a certain way and dragged and dropped the bullets in a certain way, it wouldn't fucking fire. Then there is the peculiar issue of ammo crafting. Hand-loading ammo is common in real life. I know some hobbyists make their own lead bullets for certain types of guns, especially muzzle-loading rifles. It's even possible in extreme circumstances to recycle primer caps using scrapings from match heads. But don't tell me that some convict can knock up some homemade brass ammo cases using some scrap metal while sitting by a bonfire. That shit right there is pure fucking fantasy. I've only seen one person making homemade brass bullet casings before, and he had a CNC machine, a set of punch dies, a fucking laptop, and a degree in metallurgy. Let people scavenge empty brass cases and make bullets with gunpowder and lead, sure. But if you ever meet anyone that can bosh up some 7.62 NATO rifle rounds with some scrap metal and a toolbox, please let me know. Because I'll give that fucker a broken radio and some cardboard boxes and see if he can build me a fucking spaceship. Rethink the whole ammo crafting. Right now, it's a bit silly. There is also the issue of scavenging. There is a lot of empty things to search. Maybe inject more crap, humorous items or something. I've heard games mocked for being crouching simulators and walking simulators, and at times this game is in danger of becoming an empty box simulator. Seriously, I cleared out this little town and found about 3 useful items after searching 100 drawers and cupboards. I didn't buy Scum so I could open 100 empty fucking containers. I bought it so I could shit in 1,000 faces. I don't want to overcook this ham, because this game is being changed and patched in real time, and anything I gripe about might be changed within days. Fuck, it might be gone already. But you get my point. Simulation is great, but don't make players micromanage their limbs and actions when it comes to activities that are executed instantly and completely unconsciously in real life. I mean, you don't make people manually unzip their fly when they piss. Some shit is a given. No pun intended. I play Fallout in survival mode. I play Kingdom Come Deliverance on hardcore. I love games that are aiming for difficulty and realism. I'm definitely not saying Scum needs to be more user-friendly. What I'm saying is that there are some parts of the game that are needlessly overcomplicated and more frustrating than doing the damn tasks in real life. Sometimes Scum makes a chore out of picking up a few fucking sticks, and that shit needs to be remedied. There's also the issue of netcode, servers, lag switching, or whatever the fuck is making PvP combat virtually unplayable. I've not been playing in PvP because I'm a big sissy and I don't want bad men to shoot me in the vagina. But from watching a lot of streamers and YouTubers footage, as soon as PvP initiates, people start desyncing like motherfuckers. Frankly, right now it looks about as fucking tragic as watching Punch and Judy duke it out with AK-47s while someone randomly teleports them around the puppet theatre. They also need to make some hard decisions about chain spawning on squad mates, because this seems to be easily abused in order to allow squads to chain attacks onto solo players. A lot of players in PvP are unfairly dying and having people shit in their face under quite frustrating circumstances. It's no fun if the guy who shat on your face didn't earn the right to do so. In the grand narrative of video game history, there is no doubt that if Scum becomes a mainstream success, gamers will be subjected to a decade of video game shitting memes. This much is a given. I will admit that I will probably commit a significant amount of personal resources and effort to making this become a reality, but there is more to Scum than just shitting in people's faces. But for all the negative criticisms I've raised, we have to ensure that any evaluation of Scum is kept in context, because it's not finished, it's a work in progress, and that's the deal you sign up to when you buy it. It's important that I raise these issues so that people have the right expectations when they buy the game, but I'm not in any way trying to put people off. Personally, I think Scum is looking fucking great, and I'm glad I bought it. If your mate Alexandros invited you round to his gaff to see his new sculpture he's been working on for a few weeks, you'd be optimistic and encouraging. Eventually, it will look like this. But at the moment, it looks like this. You would base your judgment on what you said on what he's done so far. You wouldn't start complaining he hasn't even finished carving the tits yet. That's the deal with Scum. They basically haven't finished carving the tits. But when they're done, I reckon they will look great. Devolver and Crow Team are also taking this project very seriously. They are doing almost constant patches and mini patches. The game is evolving and improving on a daily basis. When hackers were reported for the first time, they rolled out anti-cheat within a day of me hearing the first reports. People have been complaining about the lack of robust anti-cheat in Ubisoft's The Division for 2 years, and they still haven't sorted that shit out. Scum rolled out anti-cheat within 48 hours of the complaints rolling in. That is commendable. They are telegraphing the message that they are listening to the players, acting on feedback and fixing and finishing this game in real time. Talking of the players, the community seems to be coalescing very quickly. I know an excellent streamer who's just started organising some community infrastructure. The subreddit seems helpful. Overall, the community is taking shape and is supportive and enthusiastic. This is a good omen. Scum is about 15 quid for the full game. 21 quid if you include the supporters pack, which contains the usual cosmetic trivialities, which I bought. So basically, it's a lot of game for very little money. And no offence, even though it's early access and technically pre-alpha, it runs better than a few AAA titles, and costs less than a lot of AAA DLC. I wouldn't even say buying Scum is a gamble at this point, because I think you're going to get something out of it whatever happens. If the game ends up being everything it's promised to be, you are going to get a $60 game for $20. If Scum turns out to be a 12-month developmental nightmare, followed by an enormous fucking train wreck, personally, I would have still had fun and got my money's worth. Maybe Scum will evolve into a brilliant game and a massive success. Perhaps not, but it's as cheap as fucking chips, and for that price, you get to experience a little bit of gaming history firsthand, right from the very start of the saga, that might go on for many years to come. One day, you'll be tucking your grandchildren up in bed, and you'll be able to look down at their little glowing smiles and tell them the story about once upon a time when you used to play a video game, where you used to kill people and shit in their faces. Some things in life are worth paying for, but other experiences are priceless. But for now, good luck and happy hunting.
Bye.